Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of the 2014 Elddis Signature 195, which is exclusive to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. So starting we'll walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first. The first point you get to is your freshwater filler. So with the key, this is a lockable cap, so when it's spinning around like so, it is locked. Put the key in, turn, push in and turn at the same time, and you can release the cap. Then what you would do is you would be carrying a water hose with the vehicle, so go and buy yourself a water hose, either a collapsible extendable one or a normal hose that hasn't been used for any garden use. Put into there. This fills the freshwater tank, and then you will need some hose lock connections and the brass tap connections, as most sites are just a brass tap, so you will need the screw on end. And then wait until it either overflows or until you're happy you've got enough water on board, which you can see on the main control panel. Below you've got your blue tap, so this indicates the outlet for the fresh water that you've just filled up. So if you've taken on contaminated water, you're simply not using the van for a week or so and you don't want the water to go stagnant, or you draining down the vehicle for winter, where you eliminate all water on board, so you drain everything off. This would be one of the points you'd open up and drain the fresh water off. Next to it you do have your cassette, so using this key here, which is the tri-mark key, push the catches in and then ensure that the blade's closed on the bottom bowl of the toilet, otherwise you'll not be able to lift that orange handle up and lift it out. Lift it out. Then you'll want to either carry it or wheel it to your waste disposal point, which is normally behind or beside the toilet block. So for the wheels, you've got the wheels and you can drag it to be emptied. And then to empty, take the cap off, press the button, tip to 90 degrees and empty. Once you've emptied, there's normally a tap there, so if you put some water in, put the cap back on and just give it a rinse and empty again. Then if you're using the blue or the green chemical in the liquid form, 120ml cap there, you put a cap full of liquid into the cassette and put it back into the vehicle. If you're using the tablet form, which is the new form, you put the cassette in completely dry, no liquid in it, go into the bathroom, open the blade and flush about a pint of fresh water via the flush down into the cassette, followed by a tablet which is in the cellophane format of either the green or the blue tablets. But when you arrive on your site, ask what chemical they prefer you to use, because most of them now want you to use the green liquid or tablets rather than the blue liquid or tablets, as it's got a dye in on the blue and the green is more environmentally friendly. Behind the back driver's wheel you've got your grey tap, so this is any waste water, so this is dirty water. So anything you've put down a plug hole goes into a holding tank, and you'd simply just turn it, drive over a grid on the way out of your site and open this and deposit your dirty water. It's very important in the winter that this one is drained down as well, otherwise if it did freeze in the tank underneath the chassis, it could split the tank and pipe work, and it would be an expensive repair job to be carried out. You've got storage underneath the back lounge, and you'll also notice that this is your vent for your boiler here, so it allows the fumes out when the boiler and water heater's on, so that the water heater is in here. And it's very important that you drain this down in the winter. So to drain down, you've got a grey, or should I say you haven't got a grey, you've got a yellow tap. When it's lying pointing to the left hand side of the vehicle, it is holding water. If you stand it up, what it does is it allows all 10 litres of water that's housed in this hot water container to be drained off. Otherwise, if it did freeze, it would be a very costly repair and it isn't covered under warranty. So if you just lift this up and then look underneath the vehicle at the same time, you'll notice 10 litres of water come draining out the vehicle. You'd stand that up in position when the vehicle's not in use over the winter. Open all the taps throughout the vehicle, remove the shower head from the shower hose and lie that in the shower tray to stop any water from gathering in the pipes and lines of the vehicle. Otherwise, like I've said, it'll be a very costly mistake to be made if you didn't drain the vehicle down for winter. Come round the back of the vehicle, you've got your high level brake light and rear view camera, and then you've got your bike racks. This is 2 bike racks, so you put your wheels on the rails and these through the spokes to tie the wheels down onto the rail, and these on the crossbars to tie the bikes up onto the top bar. Then what I would advise is you put some sort of bike lock on the bikes, just in case you did stop anywhere, they're not going to be taken off the back of the motorhome. But at the back you've got your tow bar with electrics, so you've got 13-pin electrics there with your tow bar, so if you were wanting to tow or put anything on there, but another bike rack, you can do. And then coming down to the driver's side at the back, you've got your external gas point here. So if you were wanting to use a Cadillac external barbecue or awning heater, this operates off the main bottles on board, which I'll get onto in a second. You'd need a gas spigot, so it clips into there, with some orange gas hosing and some Jubilee clips connected all together, and then you just turn the tap on and off to operate your gas appliance that you're wanting to use. In the gas locker, so you can fit 2 6-kilogram propane bottles. So always run the motorhome on propane as it's desired and set up for that, not butane. And then you'd use the strap to tie the bottle in when it's on board. Turn it off when travelling and on when you arrive on site. And then to connect the pigtail to the bottle, it's a left-hand thread with it being gas, so opposite threads. And then you just hand tighten the red collar until it's tight enough and you can turn the bottle on. But always make sure that you've turned it off when travelling, as it's safer if you were involved in any sort of road accident. You've got your awning light, your awning and your microwave vent here, fridge vents. And then at the front, this is probably the main point you want to know, this is your battery locker. So this is where your leisure battery lives, and this is where your hookup point is. So to hook the vehicle up, you get your hooker blade, lift the collar and slide on here. Always hook the vehicle up first, then the power point, and do it in reverse when unhooking. And then on the battery, you've got your main battery fuse, and your leisure battery lives in there. At the front of the passenger door, you've got your diesel filler, which opens with the main ignition key and fills with diesel fuel. And then you've got your tyre pressures on the slam panel, so 5 bar on the front axle, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 bar on the back axle, which is 79.5 psi. Your toolkit lives underneath the passenger seat, which includes a jackknip brace and a torn eye. Engine battery is underneath this compartment in the cab floor, and your bonnet release is on the side of the passenger dashboard. So we'll have a quick look underneath the bonnet. To the left hand side underneath the driver is where you've got all your fluids, so you've got your screen wash. Then this cover lifts off with the 3 pins on top, and you've got power steering and radiator coolant, your brake fluid reservoir, and then your oil filler and dipstick for checking your levels. For the Azure Blue, the paint code is 453, which is a Fiat and Peugeot colour. And then if you were wanting to jump start the vehicle, you'd earth off here and put your positive behind the passenger headlight on here. And then your wave plate, so don't go off this one anymore, as it's not a chassis cab anymore, it's now a motorhome, so stage 2 conversion. That's your SGE number, which is a unique VIN number to the Elddis motorhome body. Then obviously your VIN number for the chassis is on the top of the windscreen. 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, and then with that tow bar, your train weight, so the motorhome and whatever you're towing, all in can't exceed 5.5 ton. So when entering the vehicle, to lock the habitation door, you just lift up until it shows red, and then as soon as you go for the handle behind, the door will open, and you've got a fly screen on there. And then just next to it, on the side of the overhead lockers, you've got your main 12 volt control panel. So this will work regardless if you're hooked up or not. So if you're not hooked up, it'll work off 12 volt off the leisure battery, should it have enough charge in it. If you are hooked up, then you'll get mains 240 volt, and all your 3-pin plugs will work. So going through it, you've got your dial at the top which shows the volt in your leisure battery. When the vehicle is hooked up like it is now, it will show the volt will give you a false reading because it's not giving a true reading because it's picking up 240 volt. Take the hookup out and it'll give you a true reading of how full your leisure battery is. And then if you press this button here which says water, and you'll see it says water on the bottom, it then tells you how much fresh water is in your freshwater tank. So you've got 1/4 of a fresh water in the tank at the moment. Coming down, you've got your lights. So this is the master switch for your lights, then they all are individually switched, but this switch must be on for the individual switches to work around the vehicle. You've got your pump, so turn your pump on if you want to use the taps, toilet or shower. Obviously if you haven't got any water on board, don't put the pump on as it will burn the element out in the pump. Your master switch here controls the vehicle on and off, so that must be on to then give you 12 volt or 240, and then you can turn all the other switches on. So that's your main switch being the master, and then awning is the light on the outside of the vehicle. So it's very simple with only 5 switches there to operate. To operate your heating and hot water, so you've got your heating temperature controls here and your hot water here. So I'll run through the heating first. So to the right hand side, you've got your temperature of the motorhome. So all the way is 30 degrees and in the middle is 15. And then this side you've got which source you want to operate the heating off. So you've got off in the middle there on the O. You've got the fan, so if you just wanted to recirculate heat, you just put the fan on, which is 1 turn to the right. And then 2 turns to the right is the gas setting. So if you were wild camping and you weren't hooked up, the only source you'd have to heat the vehicle would be gas. So you would be using the gas to get the vehicle to temperature. And then if you go 1 click back to the beginning, 1 click to the left, you've got 1 wiggly line, which is 1 kilowatt of electric. So depending on the amperage the site gives you, depends on which setting you use. So you've got 1 kilowatt, 2 wiggly lines, you've got 2 kilowatts, which you'd use on most sites throughout the UK. 3 wiggly lines, you've got 3 kilowatts of electric. And then on the bottom one, you've got 2 kilowatts of electric and gas together. So if you were in desperate need to heat the vehicle in the winter months more, you'd use this, or if you're in a colder country, you'd use gas and electric together for about 20 minutes. This will start the heating process of the vehicle, and then you would turn the gas off and put it back onto electric to save your gas, as this will give it a boost to heat the vehicle. And then off is on the O. Underneath you've got your water controls, so you've got gas on the left hand side. So it's quite simple on the gas, you just turn down the gas flame and then it operates. That light will go to green and it will operate on gas. And then to the left hand side, or should I say the right hand side, sorry, you've got off in the middle. You've got 1 wiggly line, which is 1 kilowatt of electric for the water heater. And then on the bottom you've got 2 kilowatts of electric for the water heater. And by all means you can have the gas and electric on together should you be in desperate need of heating and hot water. But like I say, heating, hot water, got your lounge lights there, and then you've got a 12 volt and aerial point and a 240 socket when hooked up, which goes on nicely with your TV bracket if you were wanting to put a telly here. So in the washroom, to operate the toilet, make sure the pump's switched on the main control panel, and then your blue button at the back is your fresh water flush for your toilet. So if you press and hold, you'll be able to flush the toilet. Like so. And then if you always flush the toilet first, it lubricates the seal on the blade, and then open the blade using this grey handle on the bottom of the toilet. If you slide that to the right, open the cassette, use the toilet with the cassette open, flush after use, and then slide this back to the left, which will close the cassette and then allow you to get this out the exterior of the vehicle when it is full. And you'll know when it's full because you'll get a light underneath the diagram of the cassette. Got toiletry cabinet, a hanging rail there for your towels. This is clipped back on press studs, but if you, this clips into here, and what that does is it allows you to isolate the toilet when showering to stop the toilet from getting wet, and the toilet roll on the holder. But always make sure that it is strapped back up before you travel. Like I was saying, when winterizing, remove the head from the hose. As you can see, it's got a loop in there. Any water could potentially freeze in there. Lie that into here and open all the mixer taps. This just shows your water pump working and that the water is quite warm and up to temperature. And then you've got another one here which goes across the door to stop the door from getting wet when showering in the vehicle. So in the back lounge, you can either use them as 2 single beds, or you can use them as 1 large bed. And to make the bed up, underneath the drawers, if you just lift this, you'll see the slats come out. Slide these out. They're going to stop here, and then what you need to do is there's a little stopper. Lift this over the top and put it on the other side. This then jams this in and stops it from moving when you're using it as a bed. And then you can use your backrests. Pop them in the middle there. It is quite a tight fit, but that's what you want it to be when sleeping. You don't want the mattresses to start moving. So if you just wedge them in, you then get a large flat surface to sleep on. You may want to turn these the other way as well to match that, and you get a flatter surface that you can put a fitted sheet on, and it's far more comfortable to sleep on at night if you sleep like this. So to operate your Dinette fridge, this is your energy selection button. So at the top it's off, which means if you are storing it, you wouldn't have it on. Going down 1 click turns it to mains electric, so this will now operate like a household fridge. So if you were pre-chilling it at home or you were on site, you would be using that energy source. Then if you've pre-chilled it on site and put your shopping in the night before and you're ready to travel either from site to site or home to site with your shopping on board, and it's pre-chilled, you would turn it down to the battery setting, and this will now turn this fridge into a big cool box. And when the engine is turned on, it'll be getting a 12-volt feed and keeping the temperature steady that it was currently at. Then if you're gone wild camping and you were parked in a field, or you were stopped at a service station and you didn't want the fridge, or should I say the shopping, to go off in the fridge, you turn on to gas. So go down to gas. This is your gas indicator. So when that orange band goes into the green, so what you do is, this is your temperature knob here. Turn your knob to full temperature, press the ignition, and then you'll hear it sparking in the background. And then when it goes into the green like it has there, the fridge is lit on gas. When winterizing the vehicle, you've got to clean your fridge out, and then the last thing you want to do is shut the door, as it forms an airtight seal. and any mold and bacteria will then start growing in the fridge. So to stop this, on the light there's a little lug. Push it in and slide these out. Like so. These two lugs will come out, and what that's designed to do is stop the door from shutting fully, so then you'll get air circulation around the seal and you can get your fingers in to know that the door is not fully closed. In the kitchen you've got your draining board, which lives in the cupboard, which just clips on the end here for when you're doing your dishes. You've got your lights, and then for cooking facilities you've got a mains microwave in here with the fuse spur, so make sure that's on. That'll work on mains electric, and it's an 800-watt microwave unit. You've got your 3 gas burners using the ignition on the front of the cooker. You'll be able to light 3 gas like so. And then you've got 1 electric on mains electric, which operates with the red light. Ensure these all cool down before you put the lid down, because if you did put the lid down and it was too warm, the glass will shatter and it will give you quite a fright and the glass goes everywhere. So do make sure they're cool enough before you put the lid down. And then below you've got your grill, and below the grill you've got your oven. Underneath the oven you've got your gas taps here. These are mainly for when the vehicle is habitation serviced. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. To make your front bed out your front dinette with your travelling seats, you use the table. So the table's got to come off that bar by lifting 90 degrees, lifting off and then lifting onto the bar below, and it rests on that bit of wood there. And to do so you'd fold the leg by pushing here, so there's 2 to fold the leg, so you'd fold it in half. So what you can do is, if you lift it off, fold the leg, clip it on bar below, slide this seat out into the middle, use the backrest to fill this space here, and then you've got your infill cushions to slot in here, and there you have, and a little one to go down there. And there you have your front bed made out of your dinette area. So now in the cab, which is based on a Peugeot Boxer, you've got your handbrake down to your right, and then on the door you've got your electric windows and electric mirror adjustment, so you can adjust 2 mirrors on both sides, the top and the blind spot. Headlight adjustment and your rear fog lights. Wiper stalk on the end of that, so your trip computer goes through the screen in the middle, so it'll tell you your range, your trip distance, your average consumption, your instant consumption and your average speed and travelling times, and that's trip A and trip B. You've got your lights and the indicators. Cruise control you just turn on, you'll get a green light in the bottom of the rev count, and then you just push up to cancel on the end of the stalk or the brake, and then push up to reset. Steering wheel controls on the steering wheel. That's your rear view camera, it's always on, and obviously that's in neutral, so it works in all forward gears and in reverse. So you lift the collar and up into reverse. This locks the cab doors on an evening. You've got your heated mirrors and your hazards. 12-volt cigarette lighter points for sat navs and various other bits and pieces. This glove box in the middle is lockable via the key, and then you've got USB connection in there, so you can connect into here for the head unit. Temperature on the outside ring, fan speed on the in, must be on at least 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this one here. And then on this side you've got the distribution on the outside ring and the circulation on the in. So whether you're bringing fresh air in or recirculating air is up to you. To operate your Peugeot radio, so it's FM, AM and DAB. So just by pressing radio it'll skip through the various radio wavelengths, and then you press 1 to 6 to save your favourite channels. Media is either, obviously it doesn't take a CD, so it would be USB. And then to connect your phone, you'd go to phone, connect phone, add phone. You want to find my car on your device on your phone. Make sure your pins match, so 3515, it'll change your pin each time. Press pair on your phone, and then it'll ask you if you want to sync your contacts. Just press allow, and then your contacts phone book will be synced into the head unit, so you can scroll through your contacts and click who you want to call. You can obviously answer and decline a call via the steering wheel on this side, on the right hand side. And then you do have your glove box here and your top glove box, which is heated and cooled by the air condition. So in the summer it's a great place to keep sweets and little bits and pieces when you're on the road, instead of stopping and getting up and down to the fridge. And then to black the carb out on an evening, you just put the curtains around, sorry. But if you did want more of a these are good for thermal properties, but if you did want something to reflect the heat or give it a bit more heat to be kept in the vehicle when in the winter, a silver screen, an external silver screen would be more than beneficial for that. And you can buy them off Amazon and eBay and various other companies, and it would just be a Peugeot Boxer silver screen that you would need. And then to turn your seats, on each seat there's a little bracket, so a little lever, turns it into the back, and the same with the driver's seat. If it did get stuck on the door, it's just the driver position, so just adjust the front and back on the seat.